Hello, hello, my friends. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody is great. I hope everybody is doing okay, given all of there was so much in the energy and in the astrology over the weekend and even kind of last week and then bleeding into this week. Lot of stuff going on. So if you're dealing with some level of transition, you're not alone. And I see you and I hear you, and I'm seeing and hearing a lot from my clients in terms of what's been shaken in the last week, just energetically. I've listened to and track occasionally kind of what's happening with the energy on the planet. And one of the people that I think tends to really be in tune with what's up, he kind of said something like, this is an identity level shift, and even talked about like the shaking of things to their core, so to speak, or the shaking of the tree of your identity. So anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're going to talk about sales calls, but I just wanted to offer a little bit of support, and also that all of this is, I'm seeing some really beautiful transformations. I'm having my own up level and transformation myself, and I think that the energy is really supporting people. And if you're not, there's no problem. But I think there's just been a lot of energy of transformation in the air right now, and so just know that even if you can't see the forest for the trees, or even if you're not able to see the big picture of this transformation for yourself right now, know that you're being supported by me and the energy of whatever's going on out there. And so anyway, today what we're talking about, if you're live, say hi, let me know that you're here. I'd love to say hi back. Well, I need to turn off my voice dictation. Today we're talking about sales calls, and before you decide that you don't offer sales calls and you provide products and you're not a service provider, don't drop quite yet, because there are so many nuggets in here today for sales in general. And so if you are not a service provider, I am going to speak from the perspective of sales calls, because I think it's something that everybody here in this space understands, but everybody has their own like little sales moment and little sales moments, I would offer, no matter what your customer journey looks like, whether you're completely online or an automated, or whether people pick up the phone and call you, or whether people hop on a Zoom with you, or whether you are, serving in a restaurant, some sort of, food product, or whether you make something, whatever it is, there are moments of sales conversations. And no matter what that conversation looks like, hopefully you'll be able to pick up some nuggets here for today for your business model, and your customer journey. So we're going to be talking about how to create more connections and conversions in the sales process. Before I get started all the way, I want to make a quick announcement because it's coming up soon now. So next week is the Aligned Pricing Workshop. It's completely free. It's here in the group. You don't have to do a thing to sign up. If you would like to sign up, if you would like to receive reminders, you're welcome to just go to there's an event here in the Facebook group. If you just go to events, or easier way to do it is to just click on the cover page for this group. And it's got a little graphic for the workshop. If you click into the description there, so just click on the graphic, and the little post will pop up. Scroll all the way to the bottom of that, and there is the link there for the event itself. If you're a member, if you were a member like a week or two ago, you should have gotten a invitation, but Facebook is kind of funny with those things, and not everybody is going to see it. Whoops, I'm sorry, I just shook my desk. So anyway, you're invited if you're a member of this group. Anyone who is not a member of this group is also welcome to join. They just have to join the group to get to the free workshop. That's all. So it is not quite at this time next week. It's going to be an hour before now. So whatever time it is for you, an hour earlier is when it starts. So if you're on Pacific Coast time, it starts at 1 o'clock. If you're on Eastern time zone, it starts at 4, and you can adjust for yourself based on wherever else you are in the world. It's going to be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're going to meet for an hour every single day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 4 Eastern. So it'll be 4 to 5. And we'll be talking about pricing. So this is the pricing workshop. So it's aligned pricing, how to create prices that feel good, because I personally think that's a really important aspect of the process, feel good and make you bank. We're going to be talking about mindset around this, right? This is obviously a big mindset shift, and can be a little bit of a mind fuck, sorry, excuse my language, for some people, pricing. I also find that the mindset around pricing is a lot of times that people just never really land on pricing. So even if you pick a price, it might be the kind of thing that it's just the thing that you always come back to worry about. It's just the thing that you always come back to that sort of feels never finished, because you just don't feel quite right about it for whatever reason. And there's lots of different reasons why we might feel not right about it. And so if you're not feeling right about your pricing, this workshop is for you. I want you to feel right about it. Full permission to make changes and adjust as you go. But if you aren't able to just land on a price and feel good about it and move forward, you're just going to keep spinning. And as we're talking about sales calls today, and I have another live scheduled for a couple weeks from now, where we're also going to be talking about sales calls. If the pricing doesn't feel quite right, that's going to come through on the sales call. That's going to be very apparent. And that's not fun. That's not fun for you. It makes it harder to make a sale because the people on the other end feel it as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about the mindset around pricing. We're going to talk about the strategy, because I really think that a lot of people miss thinking through the strategic aspects of setting pricing, so that you're looking at your whole customer journey. You're looking at all of your offers next to each other, all of your products next to each other, and thinking that through strategically, and that you're also incentivizing people to buy what you want them to buy. And I'll talk about what that means inside the program. But again, the idea here is that if you're not thinking strategically about your pricing, then you just might be setting yourself up to make life harder in your business. And I'm all about creating ease in your business. And then we're also going to talk about practical things like setting pricing that actually, if you do the math, gets you to the end result of what you're looking for in terms of your income goals, what you're looking for in terms of your goal of like your pace, like the pace that you work at, how hard, how many hours, how much effort do you want to put into your work, so that you can really and truly. Pricing is a great example. This is something I work with my clients in around all the time. And it's why I created this workshop, because I think it's so important. I think pricing can be the symptom, like the thing that you think is wrong. And the truth is there's so many, not that other things are wrong, but like there are so many things underneath pricing that can make pricing feel wonky. And so what we're going to do is peel back those layers, the practical, the strategy, and the mindset around what's really going on under your pricing, and why does it not feel good? Or does it feel good, but it doesn't actually get you to the dollar amount that you need and desire and want in your business? And when we look at creating the life and business that we truly want, that we truly desire, that lights us up, not just the work that you do lights you up, but the business behind the scenes also lights you up. And that doesn't mean that you have to like accounting or that you have to like doing a bunch of social media, but when you don't like, oh, sorry, I'm having a really funny. Okay, I hope I'm still here. Let me double check. My Wi-Fi just went wonky. Hold on. Okay. All right, if you're live, let me know that I'm still here. That would be great. Okay. I think I'm still here. Really think I'm still here. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it looks like I'm still here. Okay. Where was I? Yeah, so if you truly want to create a business that lights you up, a business that fulfills you, it's not enough just to do work with people that you love and to do work that you love. That's not enough, honestly. That's what I found in my business. That's what I found in terms of the work that I do with my clients. What I help my clients to do is to find more ease in their business. You already have work that you love. Awesome. Let's find a way to get that out there so that you have money coming in that you love, so that you have a team that you love, so that you have ways of doing business that really suits you uniquely, that you can set up your calendar in a way that fits you and your life so that you're not chained to your business, you're not attached to your business in a way that feels unhealthy or toxic or not at the pace that feels good to you, whether you're working not enough or whether most people find themselves working too much, but there's a not enough working as well out there. And so again, pricing on the surface is a very like practical and strategic thing to do in your business. And we're going to talk all about those and then the mindset piece as well. But all of this will be for the purpose of setting you up for thinking through how many people do you want to serve in a given week? How many hours do you want to put together when you're serving your clients, whether you're creating products, offering services, like if you're a VA or a web designer and you're, doing kind of work on your own and then meeting with clients, or whether you're like me and you're a coach, therapist, healer, somebody who works mostly one-on-one in real time with their clients, whatever it is, setting your calendar up to support you is just as important part of pricing as the dollars. So that's all the things we're going to talk about. Little sneak peek into next week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll let you do the math on the rest of it. Again, if you want to sign up, just click the cover photo here in the group. And if you click on that photo, it should take you to the little post. And in that post is the link to the event. But again, you don't have to sign up for the actual event. All you got to do is be a member of this group, which you already are if you're watching this video. I am really excited to see you then. Okay, so back to sales calls, what we're talking about today. And again, whatever your sales call is. So I know depending on your business model and what you offer, you may be pitching your work, to bigger companies or sending in proposals or whatever it is. You may have more of a process than just a one-off call. And I would argue that a lot of people have a process more than just a one-off call, even though that's all that I have set up for my business, like structurally speaking. Some people have 2 calls with me before they decide to work with me. We sit down, we have a conversation, we talk about their business and what's going on. I talk about how I could help them and what my approach is. And then the person goes off and thinks and then says, you know what, I've got a few more questions. Can we talk about it a little bit more? And we hop on another call. So there's all kinds of ways to structure your sales process. So again, today's conversation isn't exactly rigid and stuck to just sales calls. But I think that it is the sort of place that I'm grounding into just for the purposes of today's call. So number 1, I've got four tips here for you for today. Tip number 1, said with all the love in the world, check your shit at the door, guys. Check your shit at the door. This is something that I have to do. This is something I know my clients do. This is something that I find to be so important. And I think a lot of times, especially those of you who are service providers who are used to serving clients and hopping on Zoom calls or whatever, going to physical meetings, whatever it is that you do, when you find yourself sort of approaching a sales call in a very different way than you're approaching your client calls, that's oftentimes a little bit of a flag for you, not even a red flag, but just a little bit of a flag for you to go, okay, hold on a minute. Because 9 times out of 10, when you take a minute, and I'm actually blurring a little bit into number 2, but when you can be in a space of service, when you can be in a space of just kind of acting like you're serving a client, then naturally, most people who, and again, this part is about service providers, but take this for the way I'm going to speak about it is in service provider language, but you take it and make it work for your business and for your offer. When you're in a space of doing the work that you actually do, your shit is already most of the time checked at the door. You're usually simply in the zone. You're in that zone of genius. You're in that space of your expertise. You're helping your client with whatever the thing is that you do. And when you're in that space of service, when you're in that space of just doing the work that you do in the world, it just sort of cleans everything up. So I'm talking a little bit about number one and number two, but when we talk about checking your shit at the door, when you're approaching a sales call, and I find this happens so often, when people approach a sales call, it doesn't matter how long you've been in business. If you're doing something differently, or you're leveling up, or you're offering a new program, or you haven't signed a client in a while, or whatever it is that is going on with you, you've got to check that shit at the door. You've got to do whatever practices you need to do from a mindset perspective, a mindfulness perspective, a spiritual perspective, an emotional perspective. The more you can, and this isn't to say it's all or nothing. There's a lot of people that bring their shit to calls and they still make sales. I'm just trying to help you make the best impact that you can. When you bring your shit to the call, that's when things can get wobbly and wonky energetically. And even if a person on the other end doesn't know why, they might not feel that they can trust you, or they might not feel completely supported, or they might not feel like you're actually the expert that you are, because you're approaching it with I need a sale, or I need to not be rejected by you, or there's so many mindset pieces that come into this. So whatever it is for you, that whatever little parts of you are playing in your mind when you go to a sales call, your job, even more importantly than what you say to the potential client on the call, your job is to start by cleaning up your energy first. And my healers and my therapists and a lot of coaches practice this already when they sit down to do client work. And I would argue that if you're not already doing this, or I would encourage you, if you're not already doing this with your sales calls, but you're doing it with your client calls, start incorporating that practice, that pre-practice. I do set aside a few minutes to myself before I hop on a sales call so that I can check my shit at the door, just like I do before my client calls. I check my shit at the door so that when I walk into my calls with my clients, I am 100% there for them. And I am in my zone of genius helping them, not serving my own needs, or, oh gosh, what if they, don't like what I'm saying or whatever. That's my job to deal with elsewhere, and it goes back there, right? Or it goes back there. And I can pick it up as soon as I get off the call if I need to, but it is not to be entered into the client container. And same goes for sales calls. So check your shit at the door, whatever's going on with you around, a lot of times it comes in financially. Oh my God, I need this client, or I need this client. All I need is one more client to make my magical goal for the month or for the year. And like, even sometimes the excited level of like, oh my God, one more client, that vibe can sometimes come through in a sales call. And the truth is, like, being very present, and screw your goals, screw what you're trying to accomplish for yourself. This is actually not about that at all in this moment. You can celebrate after the sign. In that moment, you are needing to be in a space of service, which is my number two. So number one, check your shit at the door. Number two, be in a space of service. And those go hand in hand, right? If you check your shit at the door, you are in a space of service. If you are having a hard time checking your shit at the door, if you can start by focusing on how can I be of service? How can I be more of service? How can I be in a space of service to this client right now? Then you're less coming across as a salesy person, which I know most people don't want to come across anyway. Then you're less focused on your shit, which means that you're more focused on service. So it's kind of like I think they go really beautifully hand in hand. When you can check your shit at the door, when you can, and this also means that from a mindset perspective, you understand what shit wants to come with you to those sales calls. Because if you don't know the shit that wants to come to you to the sales calls, then you don't know how to check it at the door, right? And let me just say, check your shit at the door, like that. I love this phrase because I think it's really important. And I don't want to jump into the thought process and train that like all of our issues are shit, right? And that it's head trash or that it's negative self-talk and blah, blah, blah. Yes, it might be. I like to look at it as parts of ourselves, like the fearful parts of ourselves, the wounded parts of ourselves. I think that's more accurate. And so not to reject those parts. When I do mindset work with my clients, that's one of the biggest things that I help them to do is to, when we find an issue, when we find a thought pattern that is not serving us, we always, always, always want to start by judging it. And when we judge it and decide that we reject it, then we're just rejecting the wounded part of ourselves that is probably already feeling somewhat rejected, right? And it just adds to the complication of the issue. And when we can just remind ourselves that we're always doing the best we can at any given moment. And when we do have a thought process that we want to look at and heal, that we do that with a lot of compassion instead of making ourselves wrong. So again, I'm saying check your shit at the door. What I really mean is take those fears, those insecurities, the things that really honestly have no place in your client work. Let them be checked at the door. You can pick them up afterwards. Your job is to do what you need to do with them to support you in your business, but that is not, your client's job is not to meet your needs. Your client's job is not to help you heal those wounded parts of you, right? Like when we say it like that, of course, we don't think that that's our client's job. But when we walk into a sales call without awareness, without clarity, without doing the work to clear our minds and to let go of those fearful thoughts for at least an hour or 30 minutes or 10 minutes or however long you're on a call, that's your job in terms of how to ethically support your clients. And I know a lot of therapists and healers and coaches have already been taught that as part of their practice. And I want to just encourage, and not everyone does. So if this is new information to you and you want more about this, let me know. I can do another live about it. I'd be happy to hop on a call with you to help you create some sort of practice or ritual for yourself, for your own business. But when we are able to truly, hi, Courtney, lovely to see you, my dear. When we're able to truly own our mindset work and recognize that it's not our client's job. And again, I keep saying clients, right? But in this case, in a sales call, when you can approach it from the space of service and you're acting like these people are your clients, then you're already treating them like clients, right? So I hope this makes sense. But when you can check your shit at the door, then you really are in a space of service, which simply means it makes the sales process so much easier. So ironically, those wounded parts who want to come to the sales call and like find a way to feel validated or whatever it is that you are looking for from this next sale, ironically, when we can check that shit at the door, when we can tell them, I need you to go over here because I'm in charge and we'll come back and deal with you later. When we can do that, and this is a practice. This is a practice. This is not like you do it once, check the box and you're done. This is a practice. But when we can do that, then we are already serving our clients, whether they become clients or not. We are really giving them the truest experience of what it might be to work together, even though you're not able to like solve all their problems and work with them when you're just sitting down talking about whether you should work together. But the way you do one thing is the way you do many things. And I would like to say, if you can approach your sales calls very much like you approach your client calls, you're more likely to make more sales and turn more of those people into clients, therefore converting them, if you can make more of a connection, right? Which is what this title of today's topic is, making connections and conversions from your sales calls. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna check the comments. Okay, so hopefully this is making sense. Let me know if it's not. But the other thing so number one, check your shit at the door, right? So being really clear and mindful about the energy that you bring to the call, about the parts of self that come to the call, and about what your intention is for the conversation. If your intention for the conversation is to make a sale, that is different than something like, my intention is to meet and engage with this person, to get to know them and their business better, and to see if this is this is truly what I say on my copy, but to see if this is a good fit for working together. Because I really think this is a lot like dating. It's not about getting the other person to call you back and to call you and to ask you for a second date. It's not about that. It's about seeing if you're a good fit for a second date. There's a huge difference, because a fit implies a partnership. And I've talked about this before, because I never, ever, ever can talk about sales or business relationships without talking about romantic relationships, because there's such a parallel, because business is relationships, right? We're not approaching sales calls from the perspective of, I need everybody to want me, right? We're approaching it from the perspective of, cool, this seems like a great person. Let's find out if we want to go on a second date. Let's find out mutually. We both have to ask each other some questions. We both have to share some things about ourselves, right? In order for each of us to find out whether we feel like it's a good fit. And if one person feels like it's a good fit, but the other one doesn't, then the answer is it's not a good fit, right? So the hope is that each of you can come together, have a conversation, and move forward together only if it's like a both swiping right or swiping. I don't actually know which way you're supposed to swipe. That's a good thing. So whatever it is, both of you ask, I'm going to go old school, both of you asking the other one for a second date, right? So check your shit at the door. Be in a space of service. And for me, being in a space of service is approaching it from that like partnership perspective. I'm just going to hop on and see if this is a good fit, if I think I can help. For me, it's about, can I help this person? Is what they're dealing with in their business, it is what they're dealing with in their mindset, something that I feel excited about and interested to help them with? And do I feel connected enough to them that I feel that I can coach them, right? And for them, what are they looking for? Can this person hold me? Can this person hold space for the bigness that I want to create in my business? Can this person help me think through the stuff that I'm having a hard time thinking through? Does this person understand what I do? Does this person understand my mission? And are they on board with my mission? Do I feel a connection that this person, I can hop on a call with this person and celebrate my wins and cry around the things that I'm upset about? Can I bring my whole self and my whole business to this person, right? So those are the kinds of things that I think people are looking for when they hop on a call with me. It's a mutual scenario. And so if I'm hopping on a call and I'm talking to you as if you're already a client, you're going to get a chance to see what it's like to work with me. Yes, a discovery call is not a coaching session. And I can't replicate what it's like to work with me over 1 month or 5 months in a 45-minute call. But what I can do is give them some value. What I can do is show them my expertise just by talking to them about what's going on in their business and telling them my thoughts about what they're experiencing and how we might work together to solve that problem or to get to that goal or whatever it is that they're doing in their business. But I often find too, this idea of approaching it with it coming from a space of service, it helps you check your shit at the door. It also helps to treat them like a client, because then you're just kind of already doing what you're doing, but it also helps them know what it's like to work with you. If I'm kind of holding a big boundary around my ability to offer free value or free service, right, in this call. And again, for me, a discovery call is not a free coaching session, but I can't help myself. I coach people in their discovery calls. and they get to receive that. I might help them find one insight, or I might just start to get a better sense of the understanding of the problem. And that alone might help them go, ah, yeah, I see where my problem is sitting. It's this in my mindset, but it's also, I really want to tweak this in my strategy, whatever it is. If I'm holding back from giving them and I don't have to give them all of my expert guidance, right? I don't need to try to solve all things, but if I can start to help them, and instead of holding back my coaching and my expertise and my thoughts and my perspective on how they might shift their perspective about where they are in their business, then I'm already coaching them. I'm already treating them like a client. I'm already coming from a space of service, right? Instead of holding back. And again, depending on your business model, I think it's really important to think through like what kinds of things you might feel comfortable offering for free, right? So if you're a website designer, you're not going to be like tinkering with their website on the call and like making a change to their website for them, but you might give them a tip about SEO. Or you might give them a tip about, yeah, I noticed on your homepage it's really confusing in terms of how to get in touch with you. And you really want that to be really clear and easy so that people can just quickly, barely glance at your website and know how to reach you, right? So you might give them that tip. That demonstrates your expertise. That's you giving them value. It's you giving them a taste of the kinds of things you can help with. It doesn't mean you give away the farm. If you're a financial planner, it doesn't mean that you take all their numbers and you do calculations and you give them recommendations as a free service on a discovery call. That might actually be one way that you do your discovery calls. Everybody does it differently. But if you're just talking about working together, this doesn't mean that you have to go do work for them, but just finding little ways, whatever it is that you do, find little ways to help them see your value. And again, that's why I love this idea of being in a space of service, because you're just already giving them a taste test of what it's like to work with you, which just means they can make a better and informed decision. And we're going to be talking about sales objections in a couple of weeks on a live. But I'm going to bleed into that for just a second, because I do want to follow this with, if they end up saying no, they at least get a real sense of what you offer and they can refer you to other people. And this happens all the time to me, to my clients. When you get somebody who says no, but you feel that they've really gotten an opportunity to understand what it is that you do, they will know who to send to you. They will know who to send to you. Okay, Courtney says, I love this because I've decided to tackle my fear of owning that I'm a photographer, and the idea of sales calls is so yucky to me, but thinking of just connecting and communicating, 100%. Connecting and communicating is helpful, and knowing my excitement comes from I'm able to build an image that represents their brand. 100%, Courtney. And obviously, Courtney, right? If you're doing that, you're not going to be like taking a photo for them during the call, right? But thinking of ways that you can just connect to them, ask them questions to understand their brand so that you can even mirror back to them. Okay, it sounds like you're more in this vibe with your brand, or it sounds like, right? That's a lot of times what I'll do with my clients too. A, it helps me understand if I'm getting it right, but B, they feel very heard and validated. And sometimes the ways in which we mirror back to potential clients or clients around what we're hearing, sometimes that simple restating of, okay, am I hearing this right? Sometimes the way that somebody will restate it to you can result in yeah, that is me. Or Courtney, you might use a word around their brand that they never would have thought to use. And you might just be saying it from the perspective of making sure you understand, but that alone might have them go, that's a word I want to use more, right? So to your point, that's exactly what I'm wanting to do with this conversation, Courtney, is to start to remove the yuckiness from sales, because sales and business is, at the end of the day, just simply about relationships. It's just about relationships. Your job is not to get on a call and make a sale. Your job is to hop on a call and have a conversation with somebody, to create a connection. and then to see where it goes from there. Because a lot of people, I'm going to bleed into the sales objection thing again, a lot of people will say, no, not now. And they will come back when they're ready. And that's a successful sales call. It just might be, I think I've said this a million times, like my current business coach, I had my first discovery call with her 6 months before I hired her. And I wasn't even a no, I just already had another business coach at that time. And I was committed to finishing my work with her first. So, and now I've been working with her for over a year, but I technically was a no when I first met with her. And I wasn't really a no, I was just a no on the piece of paper. And so again, this is about creating connections. This is about creating relationships and leaving space for them to become whatever it is that they become in the time in which they become it. Diana Davis always says, it's an invitation, not a sales call. I freaking love that. I think it's absolutely an invitation. And you're stealing my thunder in a good way, Courtney, because that's a little bit my number 4. So hang with me. Okay. Actually, it's my number 3. This is actually, Courtney, I planted you here because this is the perfect segue. I thought it was my number 4. It's my number 3. So my number 4 is be clear and direct in making them an offer. Or to use your words, Courtney, or Diana's words, in making them an invitation. If you are having a conversation with this person, you feel that you can absolutely help them. They feel like they fit in your description, in your general description that you've set forth for yourself in terms of the kinds of people and the kinds of work that you want to work with. Be really clear and direct in making them an offer. Nothing makes a sales call more weird than when like nobody says anything, right? And if you're uncomfortable, they're going to be uncomfortable. So your job is not to fake it, but your job is to own that element that is your space to own. And when the conversation naturally gets to that point, and you want to work with this person, it's really important that you not only make a clear offer for them, to them. This is what I charge, this is what you get for it, but make sure they know that you really want to work with them. And this sounds so like Captain Obvious, I know. And I will tell you, I don't know, go back and think about the conversations that you've had in your life, or the people that you've hired to help you, or even that you've met with to think about hiring. If you don't feel like this person really wants to work with you, isn't that going to affect whether you hire them or not? I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So Courtney says, you did that so well with me when we first met. Well, I also just adore you. But again, like, it's important to say, hey, I really feel, if I'm on a date, hey, I really feel a connection here. I'd love to have dinner with you again. Period. Own that shit. Hey, Courtney, I really love what you're doing in your business, and I would love to support your mission. And I think you and I have a connection, and I would love to work with you. She can say no, but if I don't make and this is what it would look like to work with me. You can work with me for 1 month or 5 months. This is what my price is. This is when we could get started. I'm open and ready when you are, or I'm ready as early as June 15th or whatever it is, right? If I don't let the person know, not only make a clear offer and not spend too much time talking about it. Some people either talk too little or talk too much when they're making an offer. This is what I charge. This is what you get. Some people, so making an offer, an invitation, I like this word, and telling them you're really interested in helping them with their problem, in helping them reach their goals, in helping them utilize your art in a really special and meaningful way. Courtney always talks about having her art find its forever home. Ooh, I would love it if you feel that your home is the forever home, or that your ring is the forever home for my finger, right? Or your finger is the forever home for this ring that I created, right? Your wall in your kitchen would be the forever home for my painting, whatever it is. Letting people know that you actually want to work with them, that the meaningful connection, the connection that you just made on this conversation is meaningful to them, it really matters. It really, really matters. And I love you if you're feeling shy. I love you if you're feeling vulnerable. I'm sending you so much love for this, and I totally hear you and see you. And that is what your clients, your potential clients, are waiting for. They want to know they can trust you. They also want to know that this is a thing that you want to help them with, especially if you're doing some sort of coaching or healing where people are vulnerable. Courtney, if you're helping people with their brand, that can be really vulnerable. Like, I need to feel seen. I need to know that you understand who I am and what I'm trying to put out there. Everybody can feel vulnerable in pretty much anything they're buying, plus or minus, and letting them know that you've got them and that this is a partnership that you'd like to enter into. That makes people feel seen. It makes people feel heard. It makes the connection feel meaningful. And then if they were not sure about whether or not they wanted to work with you, then at least they know that you're a yes. And then they can just go back and decide what they want to do. No harm, no foul. But if you don't make an offer, if you don't let them know how much, not only making an offer, but also letting them know you are interested in working with them, that you know you can help them. This is the kind of thing I help my clients with all the time. I really love your mission, and I can't wait to put a website together, or I can't wait to help you with your brand so that you can really get a visual representation of what that looks like. That feels really fun and juicy to me, because I don't know about you guys, but like, I only want to work with people who love their work. So if you love your work and you're really interested in your work, and your work is something that you can help other people with, and you can kind of like geek out about it and explain that to them, I'd love to help people with this. I just brought a new person onto my team, and one of the things that I needed help with was email automations. And I don't even know what I asked her, but I asked her something about the email, and she said, I love email automations. I geek out about email automations. I think they're fascinating. I love to put them together. I would love to help you with that. And that made me feel so good that like, I'm not burdening somebody on my team with something that I personally don't enjoy doing, but that doesn't mean anything, right? Just because I don't want to do it doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't love it. And that made me so much more sure that she was the person I wanted to invite to join my team, because she really, really wants to do this particular thing to help me. She really enjoys this work, and that means that will translate when my emails get sent out. That means it will make it lots easier for me and for my team to get my messages out, to get my emails out, to get my content out the door. If somebody is really loving doing that part of the process, right? So letting someone know how much you want to work with them and how much you like the work that they're considering you for, but also that you want to specifically work with them, is so important. It makes people feel important. It makes people feel like the connection is really there. Now, again, this has got to be authentic. If the connection's not there, it's also in your responsibility to not ask somebody out on a date, to not make someone an offer. If I don't, there have been times where I've met with somebody on a discovery call and it just didn't feel like the right match, or maybe the type of business they had didn't quite fit my specialty, and I didn't feel that I was specifically the best person to help them with their business, then I might refer them to someone else, right? And that's what I try to do all the time, is like, I don't think I'm quite the right person for you, but if you're looking for a coach, this person over here might be a really good fit for you. I highly recommend you reach out to them and see if they're a good fit, right? You don't always have to refer people out, but again, keeping authenticity and keeping integrity into the conversation is really important. And that if you really want to work with somebody, I think the integrity level of it is still at play. It's on you to tell them that you really want to work with them. That's the truth of the situation. You really need to tell them that. You really should. I hate need to and should, but I think that's how you keep your sales conversations authentic. Because if I really, really want to work with you and I know I can help you, but I'm feeling shy and I'm not making that offer clear to you, I might make an offer, but it feels a little around the bush. The person on the other end might not know if I really want to help them or if I really can, or they might not be sure that they understand what my offer is. And then they might say no just by lack of information, or no just by the fact that they didn't get a clear, direct offer. Or no, because they don't know if, like, I don't know if you want to go out on another date with me, but I know I want to go out on a date with you, right? So there was something else. Yes, I had another, a friend of mine is looking for somebody to help them in her business. And she has been reaching out to various people, having discovery calls, having conversations with them, trying to get a sense of who might be the right person to help her. And she sent me a message a little while ago and it said, oh, and I said, oh, how did the conversation go with this person? And she said, yeah, I wrote it down. She just didn't show any interest in my ideas. She didn't show any interest in my ideas. Now, that person may have been interested in her ideas. That person may have on the inside been like, ooh, I could really help this person and I would really like to work with them. And maybe she got off the call afterwards and said, God, I really hope this person says yes. But if she didn't make a clear and direct offer, if she didn't make it known that she wanted to work with her, if she didn't demonstrate an interest in what the other person is saying, it's going to be really, really hard to make a sale. If you're on a date with somebody and they don't seem to be interested, if they ask you what you do for a living, right? And then they don't seem to be interested in the response, that doesn't feel good. It does not feel good to be in a conversation with somebody or to be on a date with somebody trying to get to know them and they don't seem interested in you. They don't have to be in love with you. They don't have to find you attractive, but they don't seem to be interested in even getting to know you. That doesn't feel good. Even if the person on the other end of the date likes me and wants to go out with me again, I don't really want to go out with somebody who doesn't seem interested in me, even if they do ask me out again. That doesn't feel like a connection, right? This is about connection and conversions, not just conversions. That doesn't feel like a connection to me. So how can you make it more a connection? This is just, and again, to remove some of the ickiness from sales calls, to remove some of the ickiness from these conversations, it's really just hopping on a call with somebody you don't know or you don't know well and getting to know each other. It's like a business first date, right? Okay, and then so number one, check your shit at the door. Number two, get into a space of service and treat those calls as much as you can like you would a client call, as if they had already purchased something from you so that you can give them a true taste of what it's like to work with you. Number three, be clear and direct in making them an offer and let them know that you want to work with them. And then number four, and this is one of my new favorites, practice neutrality. Practice neutrality. So this is a little bit related to everything, but I think that when we want to bring our insecurities to the table, to the conversation, when we want to bring our wounded parts to the conversation, yeah, there's check your shit at the door, and there's lots of mindset practices and mindfulness practices that you can utilize to do that. One of those ways is to do your best to come from a space of neutrality, which is not always easy. But neutrality is, so Trevor Moawad wrote this amazing book called Getting to Neutral. And then he also wrote It Takes What It Takes. And his concept of neutral thinking basically says that everybody knows that like negative thinking sort of creates a negative reality, right? Negative thinking begets negative experiences. And then I know from all the work that I did as a hypnotherapist, I understand a lot about how the subconscious mind works. The subconscious mind goes, oh, okay, so you're telling me a negative thought, so I'll just be obedient and give you that negative thought over and over and over again and help you to see that negative thing that your perspective, like I'm going to help you shift your perspective and stay negative and keep seeing the data that validates that negative thought, right? And then that, when that's in your energy, that's what creates your reality. So we all know that. And we all also know that the more you can shift towards positive thinking, the more you're likely to get what you want in life, to create what you're looking for, to have more joy, to have more, all the stuff that you want. But here's what happens. Forcing positive thinking can be, there's a thing called toxic positivity. There's a space where your subconscious mind knows when you're lying to yourself. So if you start your business today and you say, okay, I have no experience in business, I have a new skill that I'm going to put out there as a business owner, and I'm going to make $1 million in a week. It's not that that's not possible. 100% anything is possible. But if you don't believe it, your subconscious mind knows that it's not, like you don't think it's real. And so you're just basically lying to yourself. And the energy of that also doesn't really support anything. So just being positive or just saying positive words does not put you in a positive space. There are lots of ways to do that. But one of the ways you move towards positive is you focus on being neutral. In many cases, it's much more realistic, right? When you think about somebody who's in the middle of some sort of trauma, you don't go, hey, I see that your house is burning down. Want to meditate? Like, no, it doesn't work. You can't go from like full on anxiety and like being physically unsafe to moving into a space of calmness and positivity and connecting to your higher self or connecting to God or connecting to your energy or whatever, right? There are stair steps in the process. And that frankly is not a time to meditate, right? If your physical safety is in danger. So the idea is that neutrality is a way towards positive thinking, but his perspective is that when we can stay neutral, we actually, yes, in some ways it moves you into a space of being optimistic or being positive, but sometimes positive thinking actually is not the right answer. And when we focus on being neutral, not just because it's hard to be positive sometimes, but also because when we focus on being neutral, we are focused on the present. When we're being optimistic, so in his book, he's in the middle of a cancer fight. And he's saying, when I'm being optimistic and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to beat this thing, that's like so far into the future that it's not being present. He talks about presence as being, okay, what is my next right step? What is my next right step? That is neutrality. I am fighting cancer. Okay. What is my next right step? I'm going to go to this treatment today, and then I'm going to prepare for surgery in 2 weeks. That is what I'm focused on. I'm not actually focused on beating this and my outcome that I want and this forced positive thinking, which may or may not be helpful. My focus is to be present. My focus is to be neutral on the next right step. And so all of this is to say, please go read his book because I think it's absolutely magical. But all of this is to say, when you approach a sales call from a space of neutrality, you are holding open the possibility for this person to say yes. And you're also holding open the possibility for them to say no. And you're simply trusting the present moment that the right thing will be right. And when you state your pricing, you're stating your pricing from a neutral space. You're not stating your pricing from a space of, will you pay that? I'm sorry that my prices are so high, but I really do think that they're worth it. Let me tell you 97 reasons why. Instead of just saying, this is my price. neutral. This is what you get for that price. And I would really love to work with you. I can say that even from a space of neutrality, which also, if it's, it's not about being too positive, but if I'm too focused on telling you how much I want to work with you, you might start to feel responsible for making me happy in saying yes to work with me, right? So when I can approach that offer and my pricing, and the conversation from a space of neutrality, I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm not putting my value and my worthiness into this conversation. And it's not about being rejected. It's not about being accepted. It's not about being valued. It's not about being loved. It's not about being wounded. It's just neutral. This is what I offer. This is how much it costs. It would be really fun to work together if that also feels good to you, period. So when we can practice neutrality, again, it's easier, I think, to think about it like an ideal date scenario where each person is deciding whether or not they want to continue to date number 2. And each person has full, and it's not a rejection, it's just a, let's see if this is the next step that we're going to take, right? So approaching your sales calls with more and more neutrality, I think, is one of the easiest ways to go into a conversation with someone where you're not expecting something to happen, and you're not expecting something to happen in a certain way, and you're not needing something of someone, and you're not needing something of the situation, and you're not putting pressure on that situation, and you're not apologizing for your pricing, which we're going to talk about next week. When we approach it from a space of neutrality, and this is a practice, that's the other thing that he really talks about in his book. Again, it's called Getting to Neutral, but neutral thinking is a practice. Hopping on sales, having successful sales calls is a practice. And I think a successful sales call is one in which both parties make the right decision, make the best decision in that moment, whether that means working together or not. And when we can inject more neutrality into our sales calls, that also just means we're being more present. We're being present with the person in front of us, which, by the way, creates connection, generates healthy relationships, generates meaningful relationships. You're able to connect with the person. And how many times have you hired someone, or have you been hired by someone where you had multiple conversations, or over periods of time, you eventually hired that person, or that person eventually hired you? Because of the relationship that you established, because of the connection that you have, because of the presence that you both approached that conversation with, where when you approached that call, you were open to the possibility of whatever happens, and nobody was needing or attached to it going in a certain way and it having a specific result. That is a successful sales call. And that's how, when you focus on it that way, ironically, and you detach yourself from the results, that's also how you create more conversions. That's also how you create more clients out of it. Because when you can show up neutrally, when you can show up and give value, when you can show up in a space of service, the right people on the other end that really resonate with the way that you work are more likely to go, I just got a taste test and I liked it. I'd like to work with this person. Okay, let me know if this is making sense. I love Courtney's ad that that making an offer is like an invitation, right? And it kind of is like a first date, or sorry, like a second date. So let me know how this resonates with you. If you're catching the replay, drop any comments or questions that you have in here, and I will come back in and respond to them. I hope that you can make our pricing workshop next week. Again, next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, whatever that is for you. If you would like a little reminder from Facebook, just hop into the event in the group and you can sign up there and it'll send you a little reminder. I hope you guys have a lovely week. I hope this is helpful for your sales calls. Let me know, and I will see you next week for Align Pricing. I can't wait. See you then.